It's my pleasure to introduce David Krosnow, the CEO of Thrive and Silver Lion Student Loan Advisors, who will be leading the call today.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna kind of start, and I want to back up with the premise that we had on the invitation that we sent out. And so I am a retirement plan advisor. I have been a retirement plan advisor for 32 years. I can't believe I can say I've done anything for 32 years, but I've been for 32 years. And a large client of mine based out of Cincinnati, they're engineering and architectural firm, in 2017 came to us with the idea and the concept, is there any way that we can integrate student loans into retirement plans? And so I am proud to say that we actually started two businesses, one being Thrive, the other being Silver Lion, in the next 15 months. So a year ago, this company sat us down during one of our investment reviews of the retirement plan and said, we have a problem. Let's talk about together how we can kind of fix this problem. And so they told me that they have not been able to hire employees fast enough, that in the last 12 months, they had turned down more than $100 million of business. And so after I picked my job off the ground, we talked about how to kind of tell the story of Thrive and what we're doing to make it more of a tangible tool to help attract and retain quality employees. And so I'm going to dive into this, but again, please feel free if you've got any questions or comments to go ahead and do that. So a lot of the conversation we had with them was, how do we take an old benefit, the old benefit being the retirement plan that's been around from the late 70s, early 80s to now, and how do we modernize it? How do we offer a flexibility? How do we offer a greater benefit package without dramatically increasing the price? And so we did a focus group among employees, and we said, what matters most to you? And what we found is that there's different age segments and there's different things, but we found something that we think is a tangible solution. And then with what's going on right now with student loans, we think this is a very hot, trendy, great time to talk about doing student loan programs to your employees. And so the other thing is they're located in Cincinnati, and what they talked about is that they recruit kids out of school in the different Big Ten schools, but they said, look, how many kids are excited about moving to Cincinnati? Kids today want to move to, and this is a new one, they want to move to New York, or they want to go to Chicago, or the new hot cities, they want to go to Nashville. We've got to be different, cutting edge, to get them to want to come to Cincinnati. So we spent a lot of time talking about that. And then the further we went into the conversation, while we were focusing on the Millennials and the Gen Z, we also talked about how to create a one-size-fits-all tangible wellness solution for everybody. And so I'm not going to go through, I think we all know, the different age brackets as far as what's out there and what the different challenges are. But the challenges that we talked about is, how do we do financial wellness and literacy? How do we do a student loan program? How do we do something that looks at unlimited, paid time off, flexible schedule, all the different challenges that we've got? And I say this all the time, and it's outstanding, but by the year 2025, and so that's right around the corner, 75% of the workforce will be made up of Millennials and Gen Z. So we can't keep thinking the way that we've always been thinking. We have to think about the future and the way the benefits are going to be going forward. And so what companies are thinking about, even more so than attracting, is about retention. And so a stat that I've seen, and I actually stole this slide. I worked with a gentleman in regard to deferred compensation. They estimate the cost to hire a new employee is 3 to 4 times the position salary when you get into the recruitment and the training and everything that goes with it. So you go hire a new employee at $60,000, on the expenses of everything that goes into the training and the hiring and everything is 3 times that. So there's as much, if not more, of an emphasis than ever before to make sure that we retain this employee. What can we do? What we say in the sales world, what can we do to make sure that this is a sticky employee? How do we keep them? How do we offer inclusive benefits to everyone? So we're going to start with something that's becoming, what we feel like is our sweet spot right now of everything we're going to talk about today. And I've got a couple just great success stories that have happened in the last couple of days. But student loans, so less than 20% of employers right now are offering student loans, but we've seen statistics that show in the next couple of years, it's going to go to almost half of companies. So it may in some ways feel like the wild, wild west, but this is the time to get into it. And so I talk to employers, I talk to employees all day, every day about student loans. If you're looking at a creative way as a retirement plan advisor, or if you're a company that's looking at ways to attract and retain, here's a great couple of ideas from a student loan perspective. So right now, we have in excess of $1.7 trillion of student loan debt in our country. And this is the alarming statistic. In the next 10 years, it's going to grow by $1 trillion. So it's like getting on a treadmill that keeps getting faster and keeps getting steeper. That's what we're up against. Right now, millennials carry almost $35,000 of student loan debt. 45% of all millennials out there have student loan debt. And what we are hearing, millennials are deciding whether they're going to live at home or where they're going to go or what they're going to do in regard to taking a job based on their student loan debt. Going to retention, and we've taken the statistic directly from SHRM, 86% of employees have said, if my employer will offer some sort of an employer-sponsored student loan program, they would commit to their company for 5 years or greater if there was a student loan program. So it's a great tool. It's a great thing to talk to with employers that are looking, how do I retain these? One statistic that I hate is 50% of those millennials are actively looking for a job. And so I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 kids that live in New York. And my daughter has been in her job about a year. And the job that she is in is, I think, her 3rd or 4th job. My 24-year-old son was actually laid off from the company that he was working with, but started a new job yesterday. I'm 54 years old. My firm was acquired by NFP January 1st of 2021. Prior to that, in my entire career, I had, I guess, 3 jobs, 2 different companies, and I started my own company in 1999. So I don't move, but my kids do, because that's what the generation is up against. This is a quote from an exact participant that we worked with. She said, I have $62,000 in student loans. Unless my employer is offering twice that amount in salary, I cannot afford to work for them. So this is what is on the tip of the tongue of every Gen Z and millennial that's out there. Student loans are there. Differentiate yourself. Be the advisor who is proactively bringing it up to your clients and bringing it up to your prospects. And so the government has done their part. Is that this occurred during COVID. The CARES Act was passed. And so employers can put away up to $5,250 per year that goes towards student loan payment. And this amount is better than a retirement account from the standpoint is that it's not tax deferred, it is tax free. And so we have seen different articles that this will be made permanent. Right now, it's officially until 12/31 of 25. It's a great incentive to offer it. And we're going to go into the various programs that we offer inside of our program. But it's a great incentive to get engaged with your participants in some sort of a program. Where we are different from other companies in this space is that we have student loans, we have emergency savings, and we also offer 529s. In 2023, only 43% of Americans have $1,000 set aside for an emergency. So we integrate this into the Thrive program. We can help people build an emergency savings account. We have a national vendor that's just come to us to talk to us about working with us for emergency savings account. It is a differentiator. And so people do not have money saved up for a rainy day to an emergency room, or God forbid, if something happens, they don't have money set aside. And then the last thing we want to talk about and kind of giving an overview is 529 college savings programs. So Thrive is built for all different age groups. So we looked and we talked about millennials and Gen Z, but it also plays to the baby boomers and Gen X's, is that we've got a tangible program that can be student loans, emergency savings. It can also be 529. And it integrates with the company's retirement plan. And so we have seen a statistic that there is in excess of $24 billion of unused or underutilized employer matching dollars. People aren't taking advantage of the match. And so what Thrive does is it integrates and works with the company's retirement plan to make it a budget neutral program. And regardless of whatever age group you fall into, we've got this tangible solution as far as where you can utilize the various programs. So I do want to go back and take an additional look at the various offerings we have in the student loan space. And so what is our secret sauce is we offer what's called the flexible matching program. So let's say today that there's a company that has a match that's dollar for dollar up to 5%. In offering this, the employees are able to participate in one of three ways. The first illustration is that if they decide they want to make their entire contribution into the retirement account, they put 5% into the retirement account, whether it's a 401k or a 403b or even a 457, they get the entire match. Option number one is the way it's always been done. Option number two is where things get interesting. If they decide and they've got massive student loan debt, they make a contribution of 0% into the retirement account. They make their entire contribution into the Thrive account. The employer match follows them, and then either per pay period or once a month, depending how it's set up with that employer, this account is swept out and will go directly towards paying that student loan debt. And then again, because of the CARES Act, up to $5,250 of that employer match goes to that participant's student loans tax-free. It's a heck of a benefit, heck of an incentive. The third option is this does not need to be an all or nothing scenario. So if the employee says, I'm going to put my first 3% into the retirement account, they'll get 3% match. They then put 2% into Thrive. They then get the last 2% there. We are the only company nationally that is integrating the employee contribution with the employer match. And so employers love our program because the real expense is the employer amount that they're putting towards student loans. And if they're drawing on it from the same bucket that they're drawing on for 401ks, it's budget neutral. And go back to the example I just said that there's an excess of $24 billion a year of unused or underutilized employer matching dollars. It's a way to kind of kill multiple birds with one stone. So employers love that. And then employees love it because it's empowering them. It's saying, where is your want? Where is your need? What makes sense for you today? So again, we think this is our secret sauce called the flexible matching program. However, there are different ways, for lack of a better way to do it, to kind of skin the cat. What is the most popular iteration in the student loan space today is called employer pay or direct pay. And we've given some examples of what some companies are doing. And so, for instance, Estee Lauder is saying, we're going to give $100 to any employee that's got student loans per month. Hulu, which we're doing our best at my family to keep them in business. Again, they're giving $100 per month or $1,200 per year. And because it's employer directed dollars, it's tax-free. It's under that $5,250 limit. And then some companies are saying, we don't want to muddy the waters with the flexible matching program. So they're creating an employer match, which looks a lot like a retirement account, but it's its own program. And so what you're seeing right here is some formulas of what some different employer groups that we're working with have done. And so you can create your own way to kind of do this. And then the last thing I want to say in regard to the student loans is that the Secure Act 2.0 is that coming January 1st of next year is the Abbott Labs program, which we can do. And so we are set up, we are ready to roll with this. It's one of the things that one of the reasons that several vendors are talking to us. We have the premier record keeping platform as it pertains to student loans. And so what this is what Abbott Labs, for those of you that are not familiar with it, what Abbott Labs does is it says, okay, using the same example, companies got match of dollar for dollar up to 5%. If the employee can show documented proof that at least 2% of their compensation is going towards student loans, any unused portion of their employer match will go towards them. So let me take a step back. So employee today has a match of dollar for dollar up to 5%. They showed that they've got student loans. And essentially what the Abbott Labs is doing is it's saying, okay, employee, you're probably not able to participate in your company's retirement account because you can't afford to because of student loan debt. So the employee is in the middle example there is making a contribution of 0% to the retirement account. They've got student loans of 5%. So the employer will put away 5%. The full employer match will go into their 401k account without them having to make a contribution. It's essentially giving them a credit because of their student loan debt. I'm going to kind of shift gears. And so and we're going to go through some of the programs that are out there. And so our other department is called Silver Lion Student Loan Advisors. And Thrive is a unique program that I think makes sense for a lot of companies that are out there today. Silver Lion, and based on some of the laws that have been passed, makes sense for everybody. So first of all, more than half of those that have taken student loans don't realize that your student loan will be accruing interest while you're still in school, okay? 1/5, 20% of borrowers that are out there today have defaulted on your student loans. Income-driven repayment plans lower payments and offer student loan forgiveness. Only 30% of those are enrolled in the program. So let me explain a little bit of how this works. When a participant, when a young man or young woman is in college and they decide to take a student loan, there is only one type of student loan you can take, which is called a standard repayment plan. It's the only thing that's offered. It's the only game in town. And what it essentially says is you take a loan, and the loan is either based per year or it's based per semester. And it's the equivalent of if you took a mortgage and the only mortgage you can take is a 30-year fixed. That's all you can take. And it doesn't participate in loan forgiveness. And so for nonprofits, if you work for a nonprofit and you're in the right type of loan and you're in good standing, meaning you're making your payments, then if you make that payments after 10 years, that loan is completely forgiven. And if you work for a for-profit, that's a 20-year time period that occurs. And so this is what and how it works today. And so when the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program came about in 2007, it said these programs. Here's what you got: 10 years for non-for-profit, 20 years. Well, 42,000 applicants applied. As soon as this one was done, only 1% went through. They had done something incorrectly in the application. They did not meet the proper requirements. And so as a result of that, they were denied. And we have dealt with people and helped people with this. But anytime you do anything that 42,000 people apply and only 1% are successful, that is complete and utter failure. So one of the things that this administration has done is that many of you may know this or be aware of this, is that things have been on hold for the last 3 years. However, that's actually changing, and that we don't know the exact date, but in August, they're going to start making payments on their loans again. There is something called the income-driven repayment account adjustment. And here is the red flag. You have until December 31st that you can adjust your account. If you do that, you will retroactively be given credit on your student loans. If your student loan, if you've done nothing for the last 3 years, the minimum credit time period you're going to get is 3 years. If you have been in a student loan with a non-for-profit, you can get up to 10 years. I'm going to tell you a story that has just occurred. It's kind of hot off the ink. I was at a doctor, a dermatologist, approximately 3 weeks ago. And I made a joke about, what I said is it was about 45-minute drive to get to this doctor. And I think she's a fantastic doctor. And I said, I need to make you part of my own physician staff, but you got to come closer. And she said, I would do that. She said, I'd love to do something like that, but I can't afford the student loan. So I told her what I did. I put her in contact with one of my senior advisors. She had her meeting yesterday. She is a doctor. She is 37 years old. She is married and has 5 children. And so we put her into the income-driven repayment, which takes income and takes the number of participants into consideration. She has been paying $2,800 per month and was set to do that for the next 16 years. We consolidated her loans into one program, and she has to make loans for the next 4 years. So we reduced her payment from $2,800 down to $1,400. And I'm sorry, it's actually, she has to make loans for the next 2 years. And then because of the credit that she has earned, because of the income-driven reaccount payment, it goes from 2 years, from 16 years down to 2 years. We are saving her $267,000. Okay. This is not a one-off. Yesterday, the same advisor came to me later today and he said, "You're not going to believe this. I just saved somebody else over $200,000. And so I joked with him, let's make it $1 Million Monday. And so we had a couple other good ones, not to that extent. Anybody who's got a student loan has to get into this new income-driven account program by 12/31. Okay, if they're not in by 12/31, then then it expires and they'll just be in what they're in today. They want to take advantage of the credit program and get into this. We have an RPAG advisor that came to us that referred us to a 30,000 person account. We give referral fees. We got him into this program. We are doing great work. If this is confusing, and I realize I've hit you with a lot of information, please come to me. We have got advisors who have made student loans and what's going on with it more than 50% of their job. There's money in this program that can be made for you, and this is ripe right now. And so to go in, we are doing weekly student loan webinars that we have had anywhere from 50 to over 500 people go through this. We are going through the adjustment program. We're going through the Biden-Harris Act. And so the payment restart date is August of 2023, but there is a deadline to get in the program by the end of the year. And so we need to get going. There needs to be a sense of urgency. If you feel our passion with this, reach out to me individually. Let's get started. Let's come up with marketing programs. We've got dollars to help fund it. We've got invitations. We will take the ball and we will run with that. And so when a person comes to us, we can do this one of a couple different ways. We can do it so there's no cost to a company. And in that situation, employees can cover the cost, or we've got into other arrangements that we charge a couple dollar fee based on the number of employees at the company. We will work with them to do it. We do new loan program eligibility. We do program projection. We do counseling. We do webinars. If it's right, we can go on site. But we do everything on behalf and for the benefit of the plan participant. I'd like to thank everybody for their time. And again, I hope you'll, if you have some interest, please let us know. We'd love to talk further with you. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.